The Kethvar delegation strutted into the neutral station's conference room, with the arrogance that came from conquering 17 star systems in the past decade. Their chitinous exoskeletons gleamed under the artificial lighting, razor-sharp, claws clicking against the metal floor with each step. Ambassador Zekthul, their leader, was particularly imposing, standing nearly 3 meters tall with serrated mandibles that could crush steel. Lisa Martinez sat across from them, her small frame dwarfed by the alien warriors. At barely 1.6 meters and weighing less than most of their weapons, she looked insignificant. James Chen, her diplomatic partner, maintained his calm demeanor beside her, though his hand rested subtly near his sidearm. "So," Zekthul's translator crackled, "the Terran Federation sends us these." The alien's compound eyes swept dismissively over the two humans. "I was told humans were a warrior species. Instead, they send us soft-skinned younglings." Liza smiled politely, her dark eyes betraying nothing. "Ambassador Zekthul, we appreciate you agreeing to these negotiations. The Federation hopes we can reach a peaceful resolution regarding the disputed sectors." The Kethvar leader's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his species. "Peaceful? Your kind barely qualifies as sentient. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no claws. You're essentially hairless primates who stumbled into space travel." He leaned forward, his massive claw pointing directly at Liza. "The strong rule the weak. It is the way of the universe. Your species will submit or be consumed." James shifted, slightly, but Liza remained perfectly still. "I see. And you believe this gives you the right to claim human colonies?" "Right?" Zekthul's translator buzzed with static that might have been amusement. "Right is determined by power. You humans are barely animals. Look at you. No natural defenses, weak muscles, fragile bones. You wouldn't survive a single day on a real predator world." "Interesting perspective," Liza said, her voice remaining level. "Tell me, Ambassador, how many worlds has your species conquered through direct physical combat versus technological superiority?" The question caught Zekthul off guard. "What does that matter? We are apex predators. Because from what I understand," Liza continued, "your species also uses energy weapons, starships, and technology to wage war, not just claws and mandibles." Zekthul's exoskeleton plates shifted, a sign of irritation. "We evolved as hunters. Our bodies are weapons themselves. You humans are soft, pathetic creatures who hide behind tools because you're too weak to fight properly." "Ah," Liza nodded thoughtfully. "So you're saying that adaptation and tool use are signs of weakness?" "Obviously. A true warrior needs no tools." James caught Liza's eye and saw the dangerous glint he'd learned to recognize over their years of partnership. She was done being diplomatic. "In that case," Liza said, standing slowly, "perhaps you'd be willing to demonstrate this natural superiority? A simple test of strength?" Zekthul's compound eyes gleamed. "You wish to challenge me, little human? This is unexpected. I accept, though I warn you, I will not be responsible for your injuries." "Oh, I'm not worried about that," Liza replied, walking around the table with casual confidence. "James, please record this for the Federation archives." The other Kethvar delegates chittered excitedly as their leader rose to his full height. "What kind of contest did you have in mind, tiny creature?" "Simple arm wrestling," Liza said. "If you win, the Federation will consider your territorial claims more seriously. If I win, you acknowledge that maybe physical appearance isn't everything." Zekthul's mandibles clicked in amusement. "This is almost too easy." "Very well." They positioned themselves at the table, Zekthul's massive claw dwarfing Liza's small hand. The alien's limb was easily 4 times the thickness of her arm, covered in natural armor plating that had evolved over millions of years. "Ready?" James asked, though he looked concerned. Both competitors nodded. "Begin." Zekthul immediately applied pressure, expecting to slam the human's arm down instantly. Instead, he met unexpected resistance. Liza's arm, while much smaller, didn't budge. Confused, he applied more force, still nothing. The Kethvar delegates stopped chittering. Zekthul's exoskeleton plates began shifting rapidly, a sign of extreme exertion. His claw trembled with effort, but the human's arm remained perfectly steady. "Impossible," he hissed. "You're using some kind of augmentation." "Nope," Liza said conversationally, not even showing signs of strain. "Standard human physiology. Though I should mention, I grew up on a 2.3G world. My bones are about 3 times denser than baseline human standard, and my muscle fibers are considerably more compact." Zekthul's eyes widened as he realized what was happening. This small, soft-looking creature was not only matching his strength but barely exerting herself. "You see?" Liza continued, as if discussing the weather. "You assumed weakness based on appearance. That's a predator's mistake. You forgot that humans are pursuit predators. We evolved to run prey to exhaustion across vast distances. We have the most efficient cooling system of any known species. We can eat almost anything, survive in nearly any environment, and our soft skin is actually incredibly durable and self-repairing." The pressure on Zekthul's claw was increasing. Impossible as it seemed, the tiny human was slowly pushing his arm down. "But most importantly," Liza said, her voice taking on a harder edge, "you assumed that looking harmless meant being harmless. That's not adaptation, that's advantage." There was a sharp crack as the stress became too much for Zekthul's claw. The razor-sharp appendage, evolved over millions of years to rend and tear, simply snapped off at the joint. Zekthul screamed, a sound like grinding metal that echoed through the chamber. Green ichor spurted from the wound as he collapsed backward, clutching his ruined limb. Liza calmly picked up the severed claw from the table, examining it with academic interest. "You know," she said to the stunned delegation, "you claimed humans were barely animals who couldn't survive without tools." She held up the claw, then tossed it dismissively onto the floor. "Funny who's missing a limb now." The remaining Kethvar delegates backed away. Their earlier confidence evaporated. Their supposedly inferior prey species had just dismantled their strongest warrior without breaking a sweat. "Now then," Liza said, settling back into her chair as if nothing had happened, "shall we discuss those territorial disputes? I think you'll find the Federation far more reasonable than you initially assumed, as long as you approach us as equals rather than prey." James quietly activated the medical beacon for Zekthul while pulling out the treaty documents. He'd worked with Liza long enough to know that her demonstration had been calculated perfectly, painful enough to make a point, but not lethal. The Kethvar would survive, and more importantly, they'd remember. As the medical team arrived and began treating, the ambassador, one of the remaining delegates, stepped forward hesitantly. Perhaps we should reconsider our initial offer." "That," Liza smiled, "sounds very reasonable." Later, as they walked through the station corridors after successfully negotiating a peace treaty, James shook his head in amazement. "Did you really grow up on a high-gravity world?" Liza grinned. "Mars Colony 7, 1.8G actually, but close enough." She flexed her fingers casually. "Amazing what people assume when they judge by appearances." They never bothered asking, "What kind of training human diplomats receive?" "And what kind is that?" "The kind that ensures when someone threatens to consume our species." Her smile turned predatory. "We're ready to show them exactly why humans became the apex species on a death world." James laughed. "Remind me never to arm wrestle you." "Smart man," Liza replied. "Very smart.